Language is power. Language is expression. Language is the bridge to people's hearts and minds. Hey everyone, this is Nidhi, your spoken English trainer as well as personality coach. I can't emphasize more on the significance of an effective communication skill. Today we are going to learn 10 easy peasy words and phrases that are going to make you sound instantly smart in English. So let's get going and happy learning with me. Word number 1. Whenever you have to say okay, do not say okay. Replace your okay with alright. Alright? Say alright instead of okay. Now when you are going to use this word, it is going to make you sound more familiar with this language, and definitely it is going to leave a splendid impression of yours onto somebody. For example, if somebody says to you, come at 5 o'clock at my house. You say okay. Generally, what is your response? You say okay. Do not say okay. Say alright. Alright, I'll be there. Alright? So say alright. Or suppose somebody says to you, I'll have my lunch later. You say okay. That is your general response. Instead of saying okay, start saying alright. Alright, you can take your lunch later. Alright? Number 2, you can say, instead of saying don't worry, you can say don't sweat it. Generally, what happens is that when we are worrying, when we are in a troublesome situation, which is kind of giving us stress, what do we tend to say to the other person? We tend to say, hey, don't worry, the situation would improve. Alright? We say in that way. So instead of saying don't worry, you can say don't sweat it. So what happens in stressful situations is that generally the sweat comes out naturally as a response of the body, okay, response to that stress, okay. So don't sweat it. That means don't worry about the situation. It will improve over time. Don't sweat it, alright. What phrase that I've got is for all those people who are into professional life, who have to deal with their bosses on a regular basis, or who are into a formal environment, alright. So generally before entering your boss's office, or whenever you are going to some formal place, whenever you want to enter somebody's room, okay, what do you ask? You definitely take permission of that person so that they allow you to enter their room. So what are you gonna do? Instead of saying, may I come in? May I come in? You can say, may I step in? Alright? Or you can also say, would you please allow me to come in? When you're going to use this phrase, this is something that actually only 10% of the people out of 100 would be using. So this is going to make that person remember you, that you are the one who asked in a different way. So this is kind of going to leave an impression on somebody. Alright? So whenever you leave an impression on somebody, that person remembers you. Okay, so try using this phrase in your professional life. May I step in, or would you please allow me to come in, or would you please let... Very boring question that we ask every time whenever we meet somebody is, how are you? How are you? Okay, so can't we change the way that we ask how are you? Instead of saying how are you, can't you ask it in a little more creative way? For example, what are you up to these days? What are you up to these days? What does this mean? It means what's going on in your life these days. Now this sounds a little more interesting, appealing to your ears and fascinating. Okay? So ask people how are you in a different way. Number 5. As we have this boring question, how are you? So we have a boring response to this question, that I am fine. Now, how can we replace this boring answer with a creative, interesting answer that would even make the other person's ears feel it's like a treat? The answer that you're giving is like a treat to the other person's ears. So what can we respond instead of saying, I'm fine? You can say, I'm perfectly alright, or I'm absolutely alright. Now, when you're answering these questions, what really matters is your voice modulation, the tonality of your voice. You actually have to make your voice go up and down. There has to be a wave in your voice when you're answering or even questioning somebody, okay? If you're going to say, how are you? Or I'm fine. How does that really sound, okay? And if you're going to ask somebody with your voice modulation, hey, what are you up to these days? Or I'm absolutely all right. Can you notice the difference between the two ways I just demonstrated? All right. So the voice tonality or the modulation of the voice also matters so much. Where you have to stress, where you have to de-stress. These are the factors that you need to take into consideration. All right. Life is never constant. The only thing that is constant is change. So number 6. Whenever you're frustrated, every time you, of course, cannot be in a great mood. Sometimes you're frustrated, you're angry, you feel so peevish, you feel so grumpy. It happens or not? So whenever you're so irritated, frustrated by the situations or the circumstances that are going on in your life, what can you say? You can say, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. Instead of saying, I'm irritated, or using these very ordinary words, try using this extraordinary way to describe your frustration. You can definitely say, I am pissed off. I am pissed off. Now, this sentence actually denotes the frustration that you're holding in your heart, the anger, every kind of stress, worry. Okay, so you can definitely make use of this particular sentence. All right. There are situations when you need to say, oh my God. Now, oh my God is something that even a kid of nursery, primary class can also say, and even a person who is senile, who is suppose 60 years old, can also say. Okay, oh my God is a very common and ordinary phrase. Now, how can we say oh my God in a very interesting way? So number 7, you can say instead of oh my God, my goodness, or my gracious goodness, my gracious goodness. All right. Oh my God. Replace it with my gracious goodness. All right. There are times when we are talking about our future. So we generally tend to say, in my future, I want to become this, I want to become that, I want to achieve that goal, I want to do this, that. Right? There is a bucket list of all the things that you probably want to do. Okay. So whenever you're talking about your future, instead of saying in the future, start saying down the road, down the road. Now, down the road is an idiom which means in the future. Just imagine a situation when you're talking to somebody and instead of using the very common set of words in the future, you're saying down the road I have plans to shift to this country or this or that, whatever your plans are. How that's going to sound as compared to when you're going to say in the future. When you're talking in two different ways, I hope the difference is very transparently visible after the entire day's work. Definitely, all of us get so tired that we really can't express our tiredness. Okay, so when you are in a state of extreme tiredness, what do you always tend to say? Stop saying I'm tired or I'm very tired. Start saying I'm red. I am red. All right, I am red. Start using this in your day-to-day communication with people and know the difference that people notice in your personality. All right. Last but not the least, we have a very amazing idiom that you can use in your day-to-day conversations with people. Generally, we tend to say, hey, I'll be back in a very short period of time. I'll be back in a few seconds. I'll be back in a minute. Okay. So when you're talking about a very short span of time, okay, instead of saying that short period of time, be it a few seconds or whatever time it is, if you want to say I'll be back very shortly, you can say I'll be back in a jiffy. In a nutshell, these were all the smart phrases that you can incorporate in your day-to-day conversations with people, which can definitely make you sound so splendid, sassy and smart. All right. So there's one last suggestion that I would like to give all of you as far as communication skills are concerned, and that too communication skills in English language. I would definitely suggest you just don't take English or indeed any language, whatever you're learning, okay, as a burden on your heart, okay, as a burden on your mind, because whatever you take as burden, you just cannot carry it along, you just cannot get along with it throughout your life. So I would really say love English, live English and learn English with me. Happy learning with me.